Oh, Fred, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay, Mr. John Woods. How's it going?
Good, thank you, sir. Good to speak with you again, of course. Nice to see you.
Likewise, my man. Yes, likewise. Super happy to be here today. All right, people are joining in quick. I love it. I mean, I love the Algo fan. You guys are so quick. Look at this.
Absolutely. Not only the fastest blockchain, Fred, but also the fastest community.
Oh, you nailed it, John. I love it. Love it. Alrighty, I see mostly everybody already joining. Both Algorand accounts are already here. I see Nico. Nico, if you can please just hit the mic request button, and I'm going to bring you to the speaker board. I see Igor as well. Igor, just please hit the mic request button. Blueshift as well. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Nico, Igor, Blueshift team. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, good to be here. Now, what an awesome crowd. Looking forward to the conversation today. Doing awesome. How are you guys?
Yes, I'm doing good. Super excited.
Yeah, same here.
Hi guys.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Nico. Oh, I see Sebastian is coming up as well. Fantastic. Welcome, Seba. And Igor, just a quick question for you. Is the Blueshift account coming online in the speaker board as well, or no?
Nope, it's just observing.
All righty, cool. So let's get started. I mean, everybody's here, only 2 minutes in, and we have all the speakers. We already have a few dozen people from the Algo fan, but if you are all okay, I say we get started. There's a lot to cover today. There's a lot of really cool things that I'm dying to learn about, not only Milkomeda, a little more from Nico and Seba, but mainly, of course, about Blueshift, learn all about our protocol. So I'm ready to get started. Are you guys ready?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Sure.
Fantastic. All right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here once again. I am super excited because we're going to have another amazing Twitter Spaces today. You all probably know by now that nothing excites me more than seeing our ecosystem evolve and thrive. And today we're going to get a chance to not only learn more about Milkomeda's L2, that we already had an amazing Twitter Spaces last week with Seba. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about Milkomeda as well. As you all know, they just recently brought Ethereum virtual machine compatibility to Algorand. But the objective of our conversation today is actually to learn all about Blueshift, which is the first DeFi protocol that came online on Milkomeda's L2. And for this chat today, I am joined by, of course, the one and only John Woods, our CTO at the Algorand Foundation. I am also joined by Nico, who is the co-founder of DC Spark and primary contributor to Milkomeda, as well as Seba, who joined us in the Twitter Spaces last week and is also, of course, heavily involved with Milkomeda development. And from the Blueshift team, we're joined today by Igor Mikalev, who is the founder of Blueshift and partner and head of emerging tech strategy at EY Parthenon. Previously, Igor served as the director and blockchain chapter lead at the Boston Consulting Group, and he leads research in open source and cross-industry projects in DeFi, such as Blueshift, CurlDAO, CBDC Tracker, DAO Pulse, and beyond. And of course, we're also joined from the Blueshift team by Igor Strukov, who is the CTO of Blueshift. Igor has a PhD in computer science with over 20 years of experience in software development and management of software projects. Some of his featured projects include a decentralized KYC platform based on R3 Corda for a consortium of European banks. Igor also worked on supply chain automation platform based on Hyperledger DLT. He worked on the CBDC tracker and multiple AMA protocols for simulation modeling. So before we get started here today, we just want to give a proper and warm welcome to all the speakers. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you today. Are you all doing okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Fred.
My pleasure. I'm super excited to get this going. All righty. So I guess to set the stage for our conversation today, I'm actually going to call on the Milkomeda guys. So if you don't mind, I just would like to ask Sebastian and Nico to just maybe Nico can take the ball on this one, since Seba shared a lot last week, on just set the stage a little bit about what Milkomeda is. What have you guys built on A1, and what kind of new capabilities you are bringing to Algorand with the Milkomeda L2 solution.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, first of all. And related to Milkomeda, I know that Seba has explained it previously, so I want to try to explain it in another way. Let's see how it goes. But first, I want to start with an analogy. So basically, we know the internet, we see like browsers, we see a lot of things that were built on top of the internet. And blockchain is like pretty cool because it's this like financial layer that we can be sure that when we move assets that are actually moving. This is like amazing because with the internet, when we send a file, we cannot be sure that the person that's sending the file is deleting them. So this financial decentralized layer is pretty cool. And everything that has been built in Algorand, it's already like a huge step forward in comparison with other blockchains. So how Milkomeda gets in is that, as we know, the internet is not just one programming language. It's not just C or C++ or JavaScript, but depending on like the different use cases, we have different programming languages. So basically, that's where Milkomeda enters, and we are basically this protocol that allows to run Ethereum smart contracts in other chains, for example, Algorand. And we want to go even, as I was mentioning, a little bit beyond that. We want to be like, for the ones that maybe have used like virtualization software. So for example, if you have a Windows machine and you want to run Linux, you're going to be using some virtualization software like VMware or virtual machine. So Milkomeda gets like pretty close to that. So what this means is that right now we are allowing you to run Solidity smart contracts on Algorand, but in the future also the plan is to extend beyond EVM. So maybe we can bring other virtual machines like Move, Fuel, or other ones that are going to be hitting like the public space in the medium to long term.
This is fantastic, Nico. Thank you very much. Truly appreciate the intro. And I think it sets the stage pretty well for us, to get in the conversation about Blueshift, right? Because you guys basically created the infrastructure that is going to allow builders that are coming from the EVM world to deploy their applications on the Milkomeda and on Algorand. And that's exactly what Blueshift did, right? And for the Algo fam that's listening to us live right now, or is checking out the recording later, Blueshift is basically like a cross-chain DEX based on like liquidity portfolio management that provides low impermanent loss, low price slippage, zero fees for arbitrage operations, and of course, superior user experience in asset management. And now I want to invite the Blueshift team to just talk a little bit about Blueshift. What is Blueshift? I'm sure you guys can give a much better intro than I just did. And also, just maybe we can start by saying, why did you choose to bring Blueshift to Algorand as the next step in your development roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. So why did we choose Algorand? Well, for us, it was quite a logical move. So due to a couple of technical points, first of all, so we know that Algorand is an innovative, a new technology with a couple of great features. It's the very high transaction throughput, which is needed for our user experience and more complex ways of applying Blueshift for the sub applications, if you will, or our users overall. And of course, it's instant finality that's associated with the high transaction throughput. So this makes it a really, really good infrastructure to be able to build on. Then it's, I would say, the R&D-based approach, which we like a lot ourselves. It's very much research-focused. It's a fast and growing ecosystem overall. So it grows TVL, I'd say, even in the bear market, which is pretty cool. Well, it's also sustainable. We heard about the carbon negative commitment, so basically allocating a portion of each transaction to offset the minimal carbon emissions. That's pretty cool. So we like it a lot. And lastly, we also have all the synergies put in place with Milkomeda for joint, let's say, joint entry to various ecosystems, such as Algorand in this case. So it's very synergistic, and it's great technology to be able to build on.
This is amazing. Thanks, Igor. And I was just wondering if maybe you before we actually get started, and I have so many doubts to ask you guys today, you're going to get tired by the end of the hour, okay? But before we get started, maybe you can share with us just a little bit of how was the experience, to build on top of A1 to deploy an Algorand. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep, I can tell about this. I can tell my respect to Milkomeda because we are building on the second chain with this project, and again, as in the first time, it was very smooth experience for our developers. We can say in practice that Milkomeda is 100% compatible with EVM. So our code that was initially built for Binance Smart Chain was seamlessly deployed on Milkomeda C1, and then the same appeared also on A1. So it's a great platform for EVM developers, and we use it with great pleasure.
Fantastic, thank you. And I know by mentioning that you guys created your code base for the Binance Smart Chain, then you deployed on the C1, and then a seamless deployment on A1 as well. So I think that talks a little bit about the unique approach that you guys have to software development that allows you to basically just take over a new ecosystem and deploy on the new chains, and of course new solutions that Milkomeda deploys, right? So can you talk us a little bit about that? What is the strategy moving forward on the Blueshift side to deployment on different ecosystems?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it's important to once again mention that Blueshift is innovating the space of DeFi with liquidity portfolios, which are akin to ETF funds or index funds in traditional stock trading, stock investing that revolutionized the field quite a bit. So this approach, combined with cross-chain liquidity theme, cross-chain liquidity paradigm that we are building as well, makes it synergistic again, as I mentioned, and makes it basically a positive sum game every time we let's say conquer/enter a new ecosystem, right? So first of all, it's important to mention that. Then, well, together with Milkomeda, we combine Cardano and Algorand's assets in our liquidity portfolios, so it becomes more efficient, capital efficient overall to trade various assets, right? Because it becomes now aggregate liquidity. And ultimately, once liquidity is aggregated like this, capital efficiency is increased, and also we allow on top of this cross-chain swaps without bridging. So that is overall the ambition in terms of entry towards the new ecosystems.
Fantastic. Can you expand a little bit on this cross-chain swaps? Just explain how it works in practice.
Yeah, surely. Maybe Igor, it's good for you to take.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it is one of the biggest moves of Blueshift that we are planning to accomplish until the end of this year. What we are building now, we are creating a layer 0 blockchain on top of Cosmos SDK, which we call Blues Chain, which will become a central point for all cross-chain operations within Blueshift ecosystem. So this Blues Chain will have a consistent view of all our aggregated liquidity stored in what we call cross-chain portfolios. So every connected blockchain will be able to initiate cross-chain swaps just in one transaction that will be recorded in our Blues chain, and then the resulting part of the transaction will be automatically triggered on the destination chain. And all this will be done using all the aggregated liquidity that we have in the whole cross-chain environment, not depending on the local liquidity stores on every chain, because our consistent view of cross-chain portfolios will allow us to use the whole capital invested into the protocol, and with this to achieve the lowest price slippage that can be ever achieved in the DeFi scene right now.
Awesome. That's super interesting. I do have some follow-up questions, but I just want to see if John, maybe if you have a question for the team, so I'm not monopolizing the whole conversation.
No, Fred, I think you're doing a great job. So what's a layer 0 on Cosmos? You're basically just implementing a chain there, yeah? Using the standard SDK?
Yeah, that will be our own chain based on Cosmos SDK, which is specially designed for building application-specific blockchains.
Yes, I'm familiar. Okay, cool. Yep, makes sense.
Awesome, thanks. So Igor, if I can ask you a quick question, can you maybe just introduce us a little bit to the products you already have up and running on A1, and of course, what's coming next in terms of DeFi products you guys are creating?
Yep. So what we have now, we have a decentralized exchange and crypto asset management protocol based on portfolio principles. So unlike many other DEXs, which are based on token pairs, which are needed to swap assets, we use portfolios that can contain more than 2 tokens and actually unlimited number of tokens. Which is, of course, more capital efficient than pairs because we can use the liquidity of every token in every swap between each pair of tokens in a portfolio. And with this, the liquidity of each token can be reused. It is somewhat similar to what we can see in Balancer protocol, for example, but our Blueshift protocols have further improvements and advantages, mostly based on the concept of virtual pairs. By introducing virtual pairs, our automated market maker does not make swaps directly into portfolios, but instead it takes liquidity out of a portfolio, forms a virtual pair on the fly, and then performs swap in this virtual pair. After that, the liquidity is returned back to portfolio, and the resulting price is stored in so-called internal price oracles. So what this gives us? First of all, it gives us flexibility of managing portfolio assets because due to virtual pairs and internal price oracles, the amounts of tokens in Blueshift portfolios are not connected to their prices. So we can perform decentralized portfolio management by setting target weights of every tokens depending on market analysis, for example, to make the most possible performance of portfolios in terms of market prices. And also, virtual pairs give us possibility of flexibly use reserves of a portfolio to make different type of swaps. For normal swaps, we usually take, of course, the most available amounts to make the price slippage the lowest. But for example, for arbitrage operations, we can take less reserves, for example, 10 times less reserves by giving them zero fee. And with this, arbitrageurs make 10 times less impact on portfolios, and as a result, 10 times less impermanent loss. So with this, that is why we can speak about our portfolios as an analog of ETF funds, where there is low impermanent loss, so it can be considered as normal portfolio investments with additional revenues of trading fees. And this is not all. By using virtual pairs, we can use different automated market makers for different token pairs even in one portfolio. So for example, if we swap between 2 stable coins, we can use a stable swap like invariant, and for other tokens we can use, for example, constant product invariant. So it is more efficient and in the same time very flexible. And of course, there are security features of these virtual pairs too, because they use exponential moving average calculation for every price, and this also is used in determining the available reserves for every swap, protecting portfolios of very rapidly changing prices of tokens or, for example, against flash loan attacks. So all these are innovations that we have in Blueshift, that they are already deployed on Milkomeda A1 and C1 as well, and they are ready to use by our users.
So maybe, Fred, I could just ask one quick question to Igor just based on that. So Igor, so you're going to use the Cosmos Layer 0 SDK to launch your own Layer 1 within the Cosmos ecosystem. And then are you planning to use IBC, the inter-blockchain communication protocol on Cosmos, or are you planning to use that Layer 1 on Cosmos to bridge C1 and A1?
Yeah, very good question. Actually, we considered IBC protocol as a way of interchain communication, but then we decided to go a bit different way, and now we are developing our own chain connectors, basically EVM chain connectors for now, that are connected to our Blues chain on top of Cosmos SDK. And it will be used for interchain communication, but bridging is not essential. So our cross-chain swaps will be available even without bridging, because we can take liquidity of one token in the source blockchain and then calculate swap in our Blues chain and release the resulting tokens on the destination chain without bridging at all.
It's really great, Igor. So a lot of that stuff is obviously quite sophisticated, both in terms of the applied crypto, the engineering and everything that's gone in behind it, including even the structure of the financial products. But I guess in summary, when you launch and you ramp up with all this great stuff, it's going to mean that users have loads of liquidity, have loads of options in terms of what they can swap and trade, right? That's basically the end game. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the most interesting thing is that all the liquidity invested on all the blockchains will be summarized or aggregated to make the swaps as efficient as possible.
It's very, very cool. It's very cool, and I wish you the best of success. And I'm really glad that you've come to Algorand as well. Fred, back to you, I guess.
Awesome. And I do have a quick question for you, Igor, just to clarify on what you mentioned. So basically all this like automatic balancing that you just explained, about the portfolios, the indices, whatever it is all happening, like the rebalancing is happening against a previously established like percentage target composition for each vehicle, correct? For example, like, for your index or portfolio, you have a target of having X% of Y token, another Y% of Z token, and that's automatically just to go back to that original composition. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. The decentralized portfolio management is able to set target weights, and then the rebalancing is done automatically by making price impact for liquidity provision when it leads to portfolio unbalancing, and on the other hand, when liquidity providers add liquidity to balance portfolios, it is possible to add liquidity even in one token or an arbitrary combination of tokens without any price impact. So in general, there is possibility of even single-sided liquidity provisioning when there is some disbalance in portfolios.
Very interesting. I have so many follow-up questions today. So first of all, how is the composition decided? Is it like an internal study by you guys? Do you involve community? How would you get there? And then a follow-up to that question is, you've talked a little bit about social media, about the Algorand index. If you can tell us anything, well, whatever you can tell us about the upcoming Algorand index, I would very much appreciate to learn more.
Yeah, I think I can start from the first part and then maybe handle it to Igor. Speaking about how we decide now and how we will decide in the future. Currently, of course, when we form new portfolios, we of course try to gather opinions of all the community to make the composition of portfolios the most relevant to the user's needs. But of course, currently it is managed by the team. But what we are planning to launch is what we call decentralized portfolio management. when we will involve independent portfolio management companies or individuals who will be selected by the voting of Blues token holders, and who will introduce suggestions on how to change portfolios, what tokens to add, and what target weights set to these tokens. And the community of Blues token holders again will vote for these proposals. So all this will be done in a decentralized way, but involving professional advice to make the portfolio composition the most efficient and most high performance.
Yeah, and on the Algorand index, well, it's important to say that we had certain success building Cardano index and interfacing Cardano Foundation and other pillar entities in the ecosystem of Cardano. So we have gathered our learnings, and we think that it should be the portfolio of the strongest Algorand based projects. So basically, the LP token will ultimately reflect the overall ecosystem performance. And what we will do is we will start an Algorand-wide campaign where we will ask the community of Algorand to vote for their favorite Algorand projects and rate them under certain, let's say, taxonomy of metrics that we have brought from our existing experience. And after this, we will select the most promising ones. We will make sure we sift through the entire array of all the projects that are available to us and known of. And after this, we will deploy them in the Algorand native index, and it will get ultimately the cross-chain exposure through Cardano at least, and further as we are going to be deploying to other chains.
Cool. Do you have like a roadmap or ETA to the Algorand index? Like when can we kind of expect to see you guys making movements in this direction?
Yeah, I think it should take something like 2 months to wrap it up.
Cool. And aside from the Algorand index, what else are you bringing to Algorand? What kind of other indices are you going to bring to Algorand? And you're also going to bring indices that bring exposure to assets and projects that are outside the Algorand ecosystem, right? So if you can tell us a little bit of what is in the roadmap right now, I would very much appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's important to know that we are also thinking about launching other indices that are basically connected to clusters of tokens with different but distinctive risk-reward combinations. So we are thinking about this approach, and therefore we want to introduce some of the more startup-y, more fresh projects into the trade process in our DEX. So this is what we want to bring. Of course, we have additional chains on the radar in terms of the next steps. The cross chain itself needs to be launched, and yeah, that's more or less what we have for this year, at least.
Awesome, thank you. Do you guys have by any chance some like statistics of the first week of usage of Blueshift on A1? Just anything that you can share with us regarding how the fam is using it so far?
That's a very good question. Igor, do we have?
Yeah, of course we have some. So there are several numbers that we can share. First, of course, it is the amount of total value locked that we currently have on A1. Now it is like $185,000, so growing up to $200,000. This, of course, is just the start, and very soon we will attract more large liquidity sources. So in terms of trading volumes, currently we have something between $3,000 and $4,000 trading volume. And this was done in about 150 transactions. So these are the current stats. But of course, this is only the beginning, because when our portfolios will become larger, of course, it will also bring several times, maybe several values of magnitude growth in trading volumes.
Hi, this is amazing. I am super excited about this and cannot wait to, just see these numbers keep growing and growing. Of course, help the Algo fam navigate the waters, just learn the few new tricks that are required for everybody to use basically EVM DeFi on Algorand, right? I want to change gears just a little bit and go back to the Milkomeda guys and just asking them some quick questions for Seba and Nico, because I saw on Twitter today and yesterday you guys made some announcements of some other projects that came live, right? I believe it was Seller and Multichain. If you can speak a little bit about those, please.
Yeah. So something important about Milkomeda is that also we can work as an adapters. For example, you can think of an analogy that you have a computer in the US, and so you maybe travel to Europe, and then you want to plug it into the power outlet, and you're like, hey, wait a second, what is this different shape? It's not like these like parallel lines. It's like these circles. So Milkomeda, you usually will use like an adapter, and you will be able to plug your same computer. So we also can work as an adapter for bridges, because a lot of the bridges, they have like a specific security properties that are like related to the usage of EVM, because they connect EVM to EVM. So when we bring EVM capabilities to Algorand, as we allow these bridges to be able to plug to Algorand. So this is Seller and also multi-chain. As you maybe have heard, Seller is this bridge that has like two different ways to interact. One is like an optimistic way that's like really, really, really safe. It takes longer time, but also it has this other approach that can do like a multi-sig amongst all of their validators for like a faster movement of assets. They also support NFTs. We're going to be working with the Seller team to be able to also be able to move NFTs. For this also, in the near future in Milkomeda, we are going to be looking to be able to move NFTs between the layer 1 Algorand and Milkomeda. And also the next project that you mentioned as well was multi-chain. And right now, don't quote me on this one, but I think I'm like mildly sure about this. I think among all the different bridges in the entire space, multi-chain may be the one with the highest TVL in terms of assets moved. So it's like pretty cool to be able to like connect Algorand to the entire ecosystem. And this like not only good for people in the Algorand ecosystem, but also it's good to get more exposure to other people that don't know much about Algorand. And through like these projects that are connected to Algorand, people start getting curious. Oh, like what is Algorand? I want to know more about it. So I see these two advantages of like starting to connect to all these other projects as well.
This is fantastic, Nico. I appreciate you sharing that. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember, just reading somewhere, I think on Twitter a couple of days ago, that Seller and Multichain, each one of them has like a few hundred, like or a few thousand different bridges across like dozens of different chains. Is that correct? So is that the kind of level of interoperability that you're looking at through these protocols that have just deployed on the A1?
Yeah, exactly. So multi-chain is connected to like almost everything, and is like a really like bridge that actually can give you access to like moving assets from one chain to the other one. And this is like pretty good because it improves communication. And sometimes what we have in the space is like this really inefficient loops that, for example, if you want to move from chain A to chain B, you cannot go directly, but you need to go through chain C, D, E, and then you finally connect to V, and you're like, hey, why is this like so slow, expensive? And these direct connections help with that. Also, as well as part of Milkomeda, we are going to be deploying what is called a canonical smart contract, which we are going to be allowing to deposit certain assets, and you're going to get a canonical asset. So you don't have to worry about like, should I get asset A from this bridge or this bridge, because at the end they're going to be different tokens. So you're going to be able to maybe you are not even to notice as a user in terms of UX, but you're going to be getting one asset that's going to be like the canonical version of all the different versions that could be generated by different bridges. And also on top of that, something really cool about this project is that it could have a treasury in case that anything happens for one of the bridges. This treasury is going to come to rescue so users don't get hit, because a lot of the times what we have seen in the space is that because everything is decentralized, also there's no one to like support users in something happens, and that's something that we think it needs to change. And this is one of our first approaches to help this. We're going to be putting more documentation explaining how it works and under which case scenario these support users and everything. But I think it's like pretty cool, and we see that's something that usually like a lot of the projects don't worry too much about.
This is amazing, Nico. Thanks. So basically, you guys are doing order routing, but at the protocol level, right? You're just just going all over the place to get to where you need it. That is amazing. I do have another question for the Blueshift team, but before I do that, I just want to open the invitation for the Algo fam, the Algorand community that's listening to us live right now. If you have a question for anyone in the speaker board right now, so the Blueshift team, the Milkomeda team, or John Woods, just hit the mic request button, and it's going to be a pleasure to bring you to the speaker board so you can ask them directly their questions. But to the Blueshift team, you mentioned before that you were working on some sort of native swap between Algorand and Cardano, right? For the Algo ADA tokens. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How's the development going? How's it going to work? When is it going to launch?
Well, yes. If we speak about the final solution, then it will be done using our cross-chain protocol that was already mentioned, and it will make possible to directly swap like algo from algo A1 to ADA on C1. That will be available until the end of the year. What is available right now is maybe a small announcement that recently our Blues token was bridged by our partner Multichain from Milkomeda C1 to A1. And now Blues can be bridged between these two networks and is traded on both networks. So the current way of how this swap can be done manually is by, for example, buying Blues on one chain for ADA and then bridging it to A1 and then selling it for Milkalgo.
Awesome, thank you. And can you, because I remember when I was looking at the deployment you guys have at C1 some time ago, you had a few different indices, and I remember you mentioned, I don't know if it was live already, or you mentioned that you're going to have like a portfolio, let's say, to bring exposure to gaming protocols or whatever, from not necessarily the native blockchain you're talking about, in that case Cardano or the Algorand now, but projects in other chains as well. Is that coming to Algorand also maybe by the end of the year, or how is that looking like?
Yeah, I could say that, of course, we are planning to make several indexes similar to what we had on C1. Of course, it depends on what projects are found on Algorand and what are interested by the Algorand community. Like, for example, we are considering soccer club and tokens and so on. So in general, yes, we are considering several ecosystem and other related to different branches of crypto industry index portfolios.
Fantastic, Leo. Truly appreciate it. I don't know, John, do you have any follow-up questions, any quick questions, or should I take a few from the community?
No, I was just like I said, I think it's really great. I mean, when I came to the foundation, I've talked about some of the things I want to do, changing dev tools and reimagining them so that they're easier to use for native Algorand Layer 1 apps in PyTeal is one big part of that. and we've done that with the development currently of AlgoKit. But the other big part of what I wanted to achieve was interoperability between chains. And so the two big pieces there are bridges and, of course, what's now been achieved by the DC Spark team with A1. And it's just wonderful to see such a sophisticated product like Blueshift, because clearly you can hear the fact that you can now, via Blueshift, move from Algo to Milk Algo to Blueshift over to C1 and then down back to actual ADA. It's an incredible increase in the interoperability between two major chains. And this is only going to get better as the guys deploy on Cosmos, etc. So I wish them the best of luck. Just great to hear and be part of the story. So well done. And thanks for taking this first, pioneering jump into new technology by building on A1 on top of Algorand.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. All righty. We're going to take some questions from the community now. I'm going to start by taking a question from Doge. I don't know how to pronounce your username, but I just want to invite the larger community that's listening to us live right now. If you have a question for anyone on the speaker board, just hit the mic request button. It's going to be a pleasure to bring you on board. All right, Doge, all on you.
Hi, thank you. Just a quick check. Is my mic fine?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Awesome. Sorry about that. I'm just in the truck and I don't know how good it would be. But Zoj is definitely interested, but I'm not sure what you would do to select things for liquidity. I believe it was Blueshift that was talking about adding various assets. Here's where I want to ask the main question. Is there any formal documentation on the stipulations or requirements for something to be used as liquidity so that it's not so ambiguous that one could assume you guys maybe have the capability to pick winners and losers? And the reason that I say this is, though it may not seem like Zoj matters at all because it is a meme token, it's a multi-chain meme token, but we are a registered United States company with an LLC in Washington State, and we do take the project very seriously. I provide roughly 80% of the liquidity for the community myself, and I have since we came to Algorand from XRP, and we're in the process of going to about 5 other chains at this time. But yeah, I would just really like to see some kind of, established criterion so that everyone can have a fair shake at it. There's no gatekeepers and things like that. And if there's reasons that you don't select something, even if they're slightly unfair, just at least so that people know that maybe you don't like certain things because, inherent risk or whatever. But yeah, something more documented.
Igor, can you take that?
Yeah, I can only say that we surely do have those criteria internally in terms of publishing that. I'm not so sure because immediately you start asking questions, what's fair, what's not. But yeah, on the forefront, we have the safety and security of our users, of course, because in one way or the other, one token in a certain portfolio can influence others. So therefore, we try to look at them from the risk, reward, and maturity and exposure type of lens. We also try to look at other liquidity markets related to this token overall. And if everything looks sound, then typically it's up for inclusion, right? Of course, contingent on a vote. Right, so that more or less is the set of criteria, but that's a good point that probably we need to publish it. So let me talk to our marketing team and make sure that they have it on their radar.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I can
Thank
also
you.
add to that, which is, which tokens can be bridged over to A1 in the first place. So A1 launched with a certain set of ASAs available to be bridged over to A1. And currently adding any new asset requires quite a significant amount of manual labor from all the validators of the layer 2. So the team will be working on making this process easier to work with. so that in the future projects will have an easier time being able to request being bridged over to make that process faster for any project that wants to be on A1.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Truly appreciate it. All right, Igor, I'm going back at you because you probably realized by now that I absolutely love the solution that you guys have built. I mean, I love, the approach to having the indices. So the first question that I have back at you for this is, do you plan, because right now I was able to pull up the C1 indices that you have running over, in the Cardano deployment. And I see, you have like the multi-chain index, whatnot. The first question I have for you is, are you planning to add the Algorand, wrapped token to those indices in the C1 end of the deployment?
Yep. There will be indexes for multi-chain and seller wrapped assets, and already there is one for stablecoins, and there will be more. So in general, the structure of portfolios will be similar to what we have on C1.
Cool, very nice. So yeah, I cannot wait to see also, just the Algorand asset in the C1 indices as well. And can you talk a little bit about the fee structure for the indices? How does it work?
Yeah, it is not very complicated. We have trading fee for every swap operation, which is 0.3%, from which 0.05% goes to the protocol fee, which is currently accumulated, and the resulting part goes to liquidity providers, and actually adds to the portfolio value and to the price of LP tokens. So basically that's all. Of course, there are also arbitrage operations that can have zero fee.
Awesome, thank you. Well, I cannot wait for you guys to launch, several of those indices in the A1, like the Metaverse Index, the DeFi Index, multi-chain. I think those are going to be a hit with the Algorand community. So really, really looking forward to those. We're going to take another question from a community member. This time it is all on Captain Eat. The space is all yours.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, just one quick question is, how do transaction and gas fees work from chain to chain?
Well, if we speak about how currently it is, then of course on every chain we have separate transactions and separate gas fees and gas tokens like Milkomeda or Milkomeda C1 and Milkalgo on Milkomeda A1. And if we speak about the cross-chain, the future cross-chain protocol, then there will be a special cross-chain fee that will be internally charged in Blues tokens. But this will be done automatically under the scene. So it will be like normal fee taken in the source tokens, then internally swapped into Blues, and then it will be used to first pay to validators for cross-chain transactions, and there will be some part that will be accumulated into an insurance fund that will be used to cover any possible losses in the future.
Very cool. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you. Igor, I have another question for you. Are you already working on DeFi Llama integration to track your TVL?
Of course. Actually, today we pushed several pull requests for DeFi Llama. So I think maybe tomorrow or in the coming days, they will be accepted, and you will see Milkomeda A1 and Blueshift on DeFi Llama as well.
Fantastic. Alrighty. John, do you have any follow-up questions for them?
No, I'm just I've spent a lot of time speaking with Seba and with Nico about A1, so clear on that. I think it's just wonderful to see this actually get used for the first time, and I just wish the best of success to the team. And for other folks out there who are interested in bringing their Solidity projects to Algorand, I think if you come over and you try A1, you'll realize it's faster than Ethereum and cheaper than Ethereum. and it's going to give you a better experience for your customers.
Fantastic. Thanks, John. Alrighty, I'm going to do one last call for community questions. So if you're listening to us live right now and you want to ask anybody in the speaker board a question, just hit the mic request button. It's going to be a pleasure to bring you to the speaker board. But I do have, just I guess maybe like a final follow-up question for, I'll start with Seba and Nico. Is there anything that I didn't ask you guys today that you want to share with us? Any cool news, any alpha you want to drop, anything nice that you want to share with the community?
Yeah, so this is something that Seba previously mentioned in the other call, but I think it's so cool that I want to bring it up again. So we are working in a concept that's called RAP, smart contracts. And right now, what happens, so you can understand the problem and why we are working on this solution, is that if you're in Algorand, you're going to have pretty cool wallets like MyAlgo, Pera wallet. But if you want to use like EVM-based dApps, these wallets are going to work. And actually, furthermore, you need to move tokens from the layer 1 to the layer 2. And this is a problem that also Ethereum has when you are moving tokens from the layer 1 to the layer 2. So, but for this case, we have like not only that to move the tokens between layer 1 and layer 2, but also that the wallets kind of work for the layer 2. So we want to make the user experience as easy as possible. So for example, for the internet, no one needs to know what is TCP IP to like interact with that website. Or for example, when you're looking at a website that's written in like, I don't know, Elm or JavaScript or something else, you're not switching browsers like, oh, this web page is written in this programming language, so I need to use this browser. Oh no, this other website's another programming language, I need to use another browser. So that's bad UX. Obviously, we are aware of that. So that's what we want to fix with RAP smart contracts. And what RAP smart contracts allows us to do is that you're going to be able to use DEXs, for example, Blueshift on the layer 2 from the layer 1 with wallets that don't know anything about EVM, like Pera wallet or MyAlgo. So we already finished like the first implementation. We are going through an audit and we're going to be doing like further testing. So we hope that this solution is going to go live, hopefully like in the first quarter of next year. But what this will allow is that even if you're building on Milkomeda, it could feel for like the user's perspective that you're still a first class dApp on Algorand because everything is going to work seamlessly. Doesn't matter if it's like a layer 2 or if you're using a wallet that doesn't even understand what Solidity is or EVM.
That is fantastic, Nico. I mean, I went crazy when Seba mentioned this in Twitter Spaces last week. I think this is fantastic. So you guys are undergoing auditing right now. Is that correct for this?
We just finished the development, and now we are working in the proof of concept. We're going to be launching in testnet, and hopefully we can start the audit in a couple of weeks. So the time frame for having this maybe in production is going to be early next year.
Fantastic. Cannot wait for that. And well, you know that whenever you guys have more to announce, we're always, willing to just jump on the Twitter Spaces to learn all about it. So please keep us posted, right? And I'll just relay the same question back to the Blueshift team. Is there anything that we didn't get a chance to ask you guys, even though I asked you, quite a few questions? Is there anything I didn't ask you today that you want to share with the community? Entice the Algorand fam to just come on board and start using DeFi on Blueshift?
Yeah, I'd say that first of all, we are very much community oriented, and we are also trying to give back to our community. The social responsibility is very important for us. So we'll be working together with hopefully Algorand's leadership and Algorand Foundation on some of the initiatives with this regard. And we'd really invite you guys to join our, so follow us on Twitter and join our Telegram as well as Discord, because there we discuss your suggestions and we make it happen. So it's very important for us that we hear you and we work together to build the future of DeFi jointly. So thank you very much for having us.
100%,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
And small addition from my side, because our community keeps asking us when the farms will be available on Algorand A1. So it will be very soon. We are now working on launching them, and I think this week we will see our farms and yield pools and APRs as well as on Milkomeda A1.
Fantastic, thank you. And before we wrap up today, I would just want to first ask the Algo fam that's listening to us live right now, or we check the recording later, make sure to follow them on Twitter right now, okay? So follow Seba, follow Nico, follow Igor Nikolaev, follow Igor Strukov, and of course, follow the Milkomeda and the Blueshift Twitter accounts, so you can stay in the loop of everything they're building. You know, as you probably know by now, they're building fantastic technology, and I think we cannot wait for the next announcements that are to come. But make sure to follow them right now to stay in the loop. And also, just one final plug for the Algo fam. I really want all of you to join me and John at the Cypher next month, which is the annual Algorand event. And for that, we managed to get you a special promo code that's going to save 25% off of your Decipher tickets, all right? So Algo fam, if you are still considering going to Decipher, one, I have just decided for you that you are attending Decipher, and two, DM me right now, and I'll send you the link so you can save 25% off of your ticket, all right? But do it soon because, you know, space is limited. And with that, I just want to thank you all, John, Seba, Nico, Igor, the Blueshift team, everybody. It was an absolute pleasure just chatting with you today and learning so much. I'm super excited. You know, the conversation that we had last week was amazing to learn all about the A1 rollup on Algorand. I mean, that was fantastic. And then today, you know, learning about not only the first DeFi protocol running on Algorand through the EVM execution layer, but also just, you know, it's a very interesting approach to DeFi the Blueshift has. And I'm personally very excited about the products you have. I cannot wait for you to, you know, execute on this roadmap and start bringing all these different indices to Algorand. I think those are going to be a hit with our community. So I cannot wait for that. So thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, you know, hosting you today, getting to know a little bit more. And you know that, you know, we're always going to be super thrilled and excited to join you in future Twitter spaces to just keep sharing the amazing news of the community. So thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And I guess I'll see you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks for hosting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.